talking, yes, about wildfires and how 2020 was just a crazy year for it.
Do you remember that one morning where we saw ash or heard ash reported in Colorado Springs?
Yeah.
Do you remember the smell?
Oh, it was so heavy for a long time too. We couldn't go jogging outside, walking outside with the kids. You were already stuck in quarantine, and then you had all this smoke too.
It was awful. So I wanted to go back and look at like how bad was it? What were the factors weather-wise that actually got into this? So the three of the largest fires in our history occurred in 2020. The Cameron Peak burned 208,000 acres. The East Troublesome was close to 200,000. The Pine Gulch, that was the first big one, north of Grand Junction, that was about 139,000 acres. Again, three of the biggest fires in our history in 1 year. Now, according to RMAC, the Rocky Mountain Area Coordination Center, they said about 1,078 fires were reported in 2020, and they think about 625,000 acres burned. And when you put that into perspective over Colorado Springs, it covers the whole city, parts of Falcon, Fort Carson, out to Teller County. So I just wanted to like put that amount of acreage in something you could see and understand. Now, like, what made all those fires so bad? It was a compounding problem. We didn't have great winter snow in 2020. In fact, January was rough for the Springs. We had a little bit better snow in February, but then we followed it up with bad monsoon season rain. We just didn't get much moisture. We had the drought that persisted, and then of course all the beetle killed dry trees and grass. It just all snowballed into a bad problem. Now Patrick is here with us. Patrick, you talked more with RMAC, they're called, that coordination area. What are some things they talked to you about?
Well, Sam, if there are some silver linings, it's the fact that folks in Colorado really understand all the work that goes into fighting these fires in order to battle some of Colorado's largest wildfires in state history. This last year, it took a multi-agency coordinated effort. Now, those in the wildland firefighting profession say they literally have to have those resources on standby year-round. Now, fire officials tell me that at this point, we need to be prepared for the threat of wildfires all the time because as we saw in 2020, the fires have the potential to be massive and to go on for weeks. Despite the challenges, there were some success stories in 2020 of people who saved their properties because of important fire mitigation work around their homes. Wildland firefighting crews say they're concerned about a buildup of dead and parched wildland vegetation.
The needles are starting to turn red on the pine trees up in the mountains from the bark beetles. There was a big concern then of that immediately available fuel, and now we're seeing 10 years later that that fuel available for fires when the conditions are right. So a lot we'll have to deal with will depend on what happens this winter with the snowpack and how that affects us and how quickly it comes off.
Both fire officials and U.S. Forest Service leaders say it's going to be important that Colorado residents are educated on fire dangers, especially as the population of the state continues to grow. Now, one thing we know about fires, it can be incredibly expensive to fight them in response to the historic fires we saw in 2020. Governor Polis hopes to make a big investment in wildfire relief, mitigation, and prevention. He's already planning on budgeting $78 million for the effort.